So I spoke a while back last year on a video on what is concrete realism, talking about my art. But then I talked about a lot about my experience of the world as a sort of as being topological, and I don't mean it in a strictly mathematical sense. What I mean is that, and I'll get into the art, how it pertains to my art practice. And what I represent visually, we'll say, or in music. But see, the experiences that I have, I call them like series of paintings because I see them as images, even though image can be any object or any concept or feeling or a sensation from sense perception or whatever. So there are neighborhoods, and it's kind of flat in a sense. Like it's not like this three-dimensional Euclidean Cartesian space where objects, I mentioned, had like vectors, and you can measure distances between them. And there's depth to the field. I mean, it's like if I have an experience of something and another thing, they can be in a neighborhood together. There can be separation between them, or non-separation, or there can be wrapping, or what I call envelopment. We'll say, like where an object can be inside the other. So it relates to Piaget's work he did on the representation of space in childhood. And something that I'm very, something that really speaks to me. And I read a book about topology in the arts and the foundations of topology, and really like artistic representation to me. Like I'm representing that experience, that what I call a fundamental concrete experience, because it's concrete in the sense that I don't know anything else. I mean, I was thrown in the world. I'm not going to speak about the origins and the genesis of my mind or of the world, or like I don't get into the phenomenology of because my body really is that place where it is the interface, or it is the world in a sense. My experience is a full body experience. Also, in topological terms, there's order. Like there's a temporal order, sequencing of events, of what I call points. I guess points in time, because I see them as points in the topology. Although they're not exactly points, they have more of this shape. They take up space, like perceptually, like in my mind, like the object of an apple or a table or a chair, like it has a kind of space to it, but it kind of has this flat topological sense to it in the sense in which all the objects are related. They're related more topologically than in three-dimensional space, or whatever. And the order is important because, things happen in order. But see, I see it as nonlinear in the sense that like object A and object B can happen one after the other. But I'm always it's very networked. Like I'm going from one reference. I call them references or index references. I speak of index reference coherence. But I can be reading a book and have a thought, and then I can go back to reading the book and have another thought, and then you can have a sequence where you can make these jumps, where you're jumping between, and so that even though the order is one way, it can be experienced almost out of order, because I'll be referencing object A as I reference to other objects, and then when I go back to it, the reference to object A is a linear sequence, but it's interjected with references to other things. So the way and also the way that I reflect on it, and the way that because experience to me is not just a direct experience. It's also over time, it builds up. So and it reflects on itself. So it sort of bends over itself, and so it ends up being nonlinear, and also my thoughts just feel nonlinear, and I don't know how else to explain it. Because you could speak of continuity also, if I'm in a sort of flow experience, an optimal experience, where I'm really, there's that retroaction and all the different features of a flow experience. There could be a sense of continuity, of this continuity of time and the continuity of space and the continuity of ideas and thoughts and things that are flowing. But see, there's also discreetness, because although I can't really define this sort of boundary of one object and another, because it's all mixed up in my experience, and there's a lot of noise too. I mean, I do speak of continuity though, because like there is a continuity to experience. I also want to mention that I don't really, like I was saying, the origin or genesis of my mind or of mind itself or of the world and the connection between the two, the relation, like I just sort of accept it as a thrownness, you know, like the facticity will say my facticity is just, it's just there, like I start in the middle, in the midst of things, in the midst, you know, I am born in each moment in the midst of things, and it's how I deal with the different objects. And in my art, I'm going to try to represent what I'm describing visually and through sound design, and in my writing. There's a kind of arbitrariness to that context in which that world, I guess, in which I'm living. There's something arbitrary to it. I'm not like the sort of like prime mover, you know. I'm not the one that's, although I'm generating these things, because I'm a living being and everything, I'm generating it, but I mean, to me, the constellation of the points in time, I'll call them the points in topology, or it's, I'm generating it, but it feels like I'm experiencing something real. I mean, to me, it feels real. I could be totally delusional, but anyways, to me, there's neighborhoods and zones of neighborhood and closeness and connectedness. And it really feels like the experience of a child, the way that I conceive of it, and the way that I learned from Piaget, and because it's like, although I've evolved, if you will, you know, I've constructed these spaces that are more three-dimensional and Cartesian and Euclidean. I would even say like Newtonian in this kind of mechanistic sense, where the way that I view the world, but to me, I'm still like a child. Like I still have my maps of areas and things. Very like it's distorted. Like it's not. To me, it's topological. I don't know how else to explain it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. And then, to me, the database of images is those series of paintings that I see when I see objects or think things or have feelings, where it's always in movement, and it's a database. And I can get into the database arts or the database aesthetic another time. Thanks.